Homeless, immigrants, in a new country.
No friends and family, a handful of resources, nothing but each other. Now what? You better go and make it happen. We're Chris and Jackie, and you're in tune to Aprende, our series on the small things in life in San Miguel de Allende to hopefully help you learn a little bit more about what life is like here. So where we left off last time, we found ourselves in San Miguel, and we were basically, like you said, kind of homeless, right? We didn't have a permanent place to live.
No, really homeless.
Yeah, we were in an Airbnb in a hotel.
Really yeah.
Trying to figure it out. So I guess like if we kind of rewind just a little bit, like why do we really choose to be in San Miguel? Like what were the things that kind of made it appealing to us?
So San Miguel is close to Querétaro.
Yeah.
Because we really thought that our parents, my in-laws, his parents, would end up in Querétaro, which is about an hour away, 45 minutes to an hour away. So at least we would be close, close enough to them. And it's also, there are also 3 airports around San Miguel, but just really the awesome tag-along buddies is that it's just absolutely beautiful. The weather is amazing here. There's a lot of English spoken here, or at least enough to where we wouldn't be absolutely isolated.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of a lot of people's reasons of coming to San Miguel is like that transition from English-speaking country to Spanish-speaking country is eased just a little bit because there is a fair amount of, Mexicans here that can speak English.
As well as expats. And other immigrants, right?
Yeah, and like a lot of people like to say, San Miguel is Little America.
No, it's not.
And it's not. It's a tourist town. You go to a lot of tourist towns around the world, English is going to be spoken. It is sort of the dominant language on the planet.
Just because it's a McDonald's doesn't make it a mini America. Right.
And
it's not.
The parallel I like to draw is like Chinatown. Like when you go to a Chinatown, another city, like everybody speaks Chinese. It looks like you're in China. There's Chinese markets. There's, you're really immersed in the culture of the place inside of, whether it's in Mexico City or it's in Boston or it's in New York. You feel like you're in China.
Correct.
San Miguel does not feel like that. It still feels very Mexican. It is, a big Mexican tourist destination. Tons of Mexicans live here. 20% of the population speaks English.
Correct.
So we do have a good representation here, but it's not like the entire city is catered to us. It is not.
It is not.
You'll still find plenty of people who have absolutely no idea what you're saying in English.
Correct.
And like even we went out to dinner the other night, like the server knew a couple lines in English to kind of help us out. But for the most part, you had to figure it out. And they did have like an English menu and a Spanish menu.
Yeah, that was
so you'll get that help. But it's not, it's not America town. It's not Little America by any means.
Period.
You still need to know some Spanish to get around. And you'll be better for it, I think.
Absolutely.
So there's that. There is the food and restaurant scene that's here, which is world class. Like if you love to eat, this is the place.
There's good food, yeah.
There is a different restaurant for every day of the year.
Every day.
Constantly one's opening, some closing down. They're upping their menu.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've probably seen this by now, you've seen the burger video. And we found a great burger at an Indian restaurant of all places.
Just 2 days ago.
Yeah. And
so we will have a part 2 on the burgers. Okay, guys?
Right? They revamped their menu. They said, we're doing smash burgers now. Okay, sure. I'll take that. And it's one of the best burgers I've had here yet, including the $45 burger at Hackman. So like this is a place that a lot of people just are drawn to because you want to live a beautiful life.
And it's also very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
You know what I mean?
There are comforts. I'm also going to say there's cobblestone.
Oh, yeah.
So the cobblestone and the hills will disrupt your comfort.
Yeah, I'm not talking. But I'm talking this feeling of there's a comfort. You know what I mean? There's a hominess to it. It's,
definitely.
You know, especially once you find your community, which we have, you know, friends and family. Like, it's really cool to have that.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things that Merida has going for is there's a large Black community there. So a lot of Black folks want to come there. And I think we're growing that same community here in San Miguel. Yeah. There's a lot of that. So if you feel like you want to be around, you know, your own people as well, that option is there for you as well. Right. And in general, like the cost of living as compared to the U.S. is wonderful. Cost of living as compared to Mexico is super expensive.
It's definitely, it's on a higher end here.
I mean, it's not as bad as Mexico City, but it's a little beneath that. So like if you're Mexican and you're looking for, you know, the cheapest place to live in the country, this is probably not the place you're going to come to. Correct. A lot of people will say it's super expensive. And I think the one thing about the expense here is that it's a scale, right? Always. If you want to pay $3,000 to $4,000 a month and get you the biggest and the best, you can. If you want to pay, you know, $600 to $700 a month, you can do that as well. Yep. So you can't really do that in a lot of other places, like in New York or Chicago, where it's expensive. Yes or no? There's really no other scale.
It's expensive and then more expensive. It's like the Merida temperatures. It's just hot and hotter. Right. Correct.
So at least you have some options here, and you know you're not going to be house poor. Correct. So like if you spend $700 a month and maybe you have a little smaller apartment somewhere, you're maybe not spend as much time in your apartment anyway. You're going to be out around town, seeing things in restaurants, at the sites, you know, at the parochia, whatever you want to do. So life is just a little bit different here. Correct. So kind of thinking about, you know, we're here, we're homeless, we're trying to figure it out. And we're looking at our options, which at this time of year in December are pretty slim.
Because the snowbirds are here.
Snowbirds are here. Mexican tourists are here for the holidays. Like this is a big area to be in around the holiday time. So they come for Christmas, they come for New Year's, they come for Three Kings Day and all the other, related holidays. Yeah. So we had a pretty slim market, and, you know, we knew something about the town from looking online, you know. We watched the videos, Guadalupe, San Antonio, Guadiana. Like those are the three neighborhoods you want to be in. But of course, there wasn't a whole lot in those neighborhoods that we really could get access to. So the neighborhood we actually ended up in is called Caracol. It's actually a little bit above Guadiana.
And near Allende as well.
Near Allende. And the reason we kind of chose, I think, this neighborhood, one is just limit of options, right? Wasn't a whole lot out there. We came and visited the neighborhood. It's in a little Pravada. We liked the landlord. We liked the space. The people around the neighbors were nice. And it's right off of Cinco de Mayo, which has like all the shopping you kind of want there. There's produce stands, there's butchers, there's
fresh eggs,
polleria, there's a couple of ice cream shops, a couple of corner stores. Like you have a lot of options just to kind of walk and go shopping. The only issue is those options are downhill, which means if you want to get those options back home, you got to come back up the hill.
Uphill or a taxi.
And that hill is a steep hill. And we didn't have a car. We didn't have any plans to have a car. Right. It's a very walkable city. You can get taxis and Ubers all over the place.
For $3-4.
$3-4 very cheaply. And the apartment itself was fully furnished.
Super nice.
Very furnished very well, because a lot of times you'll see these furnished apartments and it's just kind of slapped in furniture. It's not really, you know, anything you'd be excited about. Right. But this one was really nice.
Had character,
furnished.
right?
Had character, had some life to it.
Fully furnished. Yeah. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. $900.
And the price was good. One too high.
Is that okay to say $900?
Yeah, well, 18,000 pesos, because, you know, 18,000 pesos right now is not $900.
That's true, yeah. But round about $900. And we could never have this in the States.
Yeah, and I would say one thing to be careful about is your price range. Just understand that, you know, exchange rates fluctuate. So if you're using American or Canadian dollars, have sort of a range of what you want to pay for rent. Yeah, rather than saying,
built-in cushion, right?
Right. Yeah. Because your 18,000 pesos might be $900 when you come down, and it may be, you know, $1,050 like it is now. Right. So understanding that, you know, your budget's going to need to be able to slide a little bit on that. So what else was some of our reasons of why we kind of chose this area? I mean, it's close to everything. You come down Cinco de Mayo, you hit the Ancha, which is sort of the main strip through town. You can walk to the Jardín in 20 minutes.
You can walk to the main grocery stores. They have beautiful grocery stores here. Yeah. You know, the main grocery store we go to is more or less like a super Target. Yeah. So it's really nice. Get anything you need, you know, for the most part.
La Comer, and then right across the street from La Comer is City Market, which is like the Neiman Marcus of grocery stores. If you want to, you know, go above and beyond and get the fanciest stuff you can find, like, that option is there.
Yeah.
On the way down, you have, you know,
tons of restaurants.
Easy
to catch a cab as well.
Very much so. It's like, if you really need a cab, you can walk down to the entree and get a cab. I mean, also, like, the view. Like, we're not too far to, like, just walk up and get a view we want to.
Right. They're called miradors. So we're around 3 miradors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even our apartment, you know, it's a house, but it's broken up into apartments. So even if we just want to walk up on the top of our roof, you know, our rooftop has amazing views too.
Yeah. And I'd also say that's probably a con to this place as well, is that, number one, we have neighbors upstairs. And also, if we want to get to our rooftop, we actually have to walk all the way around the entire block uphill to get to the top of the apartment.
It's good for the heart, but you don't want to do it all the time.
It's not good for the feet or the back, but the heart is good for. So, like, you know, San Miguel has views and you want to take advantage of that and as easily as possible.
Correct.
And this one, there's a little bit of work in order for us to take advantage of the views.
Little work.
And to be honest, we haven't taken advantage of those views very often.
Right.
Because of the work involved.
Correct.
So there's that. So, like, this is kind of where we are. We've been here for about a year, a little over a year. We've actually found another place, our next place to kind of transition into.
Yes.
And I think, you know, what's kind of, you know, been different for us in this new house search? Like, what did we kind of do differently, you think?
So the first house search, honestly, we were homeless immigrants. Let's be clear, right? So we wanted to get unhomeless, right? We wanted to get somewhere comfortable so that we can just now do a woosah moment, right? And because we're still working too, right? Yeah. So we wanted to get comfortable and unpack our suitcases, you know, and let our hair down, right? For the most part. And so that was more on needs, right? And then, like you said, the scarcity of the options that we had, right? So this time around, we could look at more of the wants. And also, now that we're familiar with the city, you know, do we want to be at the top of the mountain? Do we want to be, you know, the bottom of the mountain? And now we can really sort of kind of be a little pickier, a little choosier, if you will. And so, I think that's really the major difference. Now we can go off of our wants and really look back and go, okay, we want the Mexican experience. We want to be able to just walk within 6 blocks and get fresh bread, fresh tortillas, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, right? Fresh meat in our own little neighborhood. We can do that here. But like you said, that hill is no joke, okay? It's no joke. So if we can get to a flatter area, now we get to have that more of immersion, you know. So that's really the biggest thing. I think now we can go based off of wants a little bit. Yeah.
So, like, some of those wants are, as two people who are not in the healthiest of conditions.
Not yet.
In this city, you have to consider the hills, the terrain to where you are, and do you want to traverse that terrain on a day-to-day basis?
Correct.
So, like she said, you know, Cinco de Mayo has everything that we kind of want in sort of that Mexican experience, but there's a lot more work to do that. So we did choose San Antonio, which is a little bit flatter. In that area, we can kind of get off our walking in without such extreme hills. Also,
you ain't going to escape that cobble, but we did escape the hills.
You can't escape the cobble. Also realizing, you know, we came from, how big was that house? 3,000 square feet?
About.
Down to, I don't know, less than 1,000 square, maybe 12 at the most.
Apartment.
So, you know, it's just the two of us, but space still feels like we need a little bit more. So we did want something that was a little bit larger, a whole house that, you know, there weren't any upstairs neighbors.
No upstairs neighbors.
Clopping around, banging on walls.
No upstairs neighbors.
Barking dogs.
Well, we might not get away from the dogs.
I mean, you can't necessarily get away from the dogs.
But we're getting away from the upstairs neighbors.
Have dogs now, and we don't hear them. Our previous neighbors had dogs, and we did nothing but hear them.
Correct. It's weird. As
well as, I think, just the house hunt itself, realizing the environment of San Miguel and the way that real estate works here.
A little cyclical, right?
Like, you can't go to Zillow and get everything.
Right.
You have to go to the realtor that has that property. So we'd go to, you know, contacted probably 3 or 4 different realtors just to kind of get a good idea of what's on the market. And we had a whole lot of time
though, for the people.
So, like, every single property may have just one realtor for it.
Correct.
Every realtor doesn't have access to everything that's on the market.
Yes. So for the American brain, there is no apartments.com, rent.com, Zillow.
Well, there are a couple of sites like that. What is it, like 24/7 Inmuebles or something? There's a couple of sites out there like that.
He's keeping secrets.
But they're not very good.
Okay.
They're not up to date. They're not the latest and greatest. If you really want the latest properties, you go on Facebook and see who's posting it.
Okay.
Or
So then
go to
you
the realtor
still
directly.
wind up with an individual agent.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So the key is like there isn't one central source to see everything on the market. You've got to go to those individual realtors who have those properties.
Right.
And even then, you don't always get sort of the inside track until you actually talk to them. So like the place that we're in now, actually we got to go see before it even came onto the market.
That's true.
We were
that's
lucky
true.
that, our realtor happened to be already working with them and saying, hey, they had an Airbnb they wanted to convert into a long-term rental before it even
And
hit
she
the
knew
market.
our aesthetics.
She knew what our aesthetics, what we liked. She knew our timing.
Yeah.
Because we started looking earlier than we should have started looking.
For the record.
We were like a couple months ahead. And usually like in Mexico, you want to start looking almost a month you're planning on moving.
Yeah.
Because it's really down to that, what's available right now. And stuff goes off the market super quick.
That's true. Yeah.
So we got really fortunate that we could find a property that was super nice, good price point for what we were looking for, and we got to it early before anybody else was able to see it. So we got exclusive access to it. And part of that was just really just being in contact with our realtor.
With the realtor.
Making sure they know what you want, and they're always kind of keeping an eye out for you.
Correct.
And even conversely, like my parents are looking for a workspace right now. And the realtor's like, hey, I got these things right now. And then as she starts thinking about what you need, it's like, oh, I know I got this thing over here you might want to look at. So there's things that aren't even advertised that they know they have on the books that maybe they'll just kind of bring out because they know that's what you're looking for.
Sometimes it's who you know.
It's always who you know. Yeah. So, location, big thing, making sure you have as many realtors on your team as you possibly can, having a better understanding of the city and where you want to live. There's still a lot of parts of the cities we haven't been to.
That's true.
There's plenty of parts that, we would really be comfortable in. Other than just, San Antonio is a foolproof if you're a gringo, right? So like everything's there. It's the most convenient. It's also probably one of the most expensive parts of town as well. So yeah, like that transition from where we are now to where we want to be, it's just more knowledge, more understanding of what we need, understanding what the city can provide, understanding where the noise is in the city. There's parts. San Antonio is a little louder than maybe some other places.
Mexico be Mexicoing.
Right, but Mexico's going to Mexico at the end of the day. You're going to get fireworks and barking dogs and parades and all that stuff.
Fireworks.
Did you say fireworks?
I don't know, but we do say fireworks. On a Sunday.
And the funny part is on Facebook groups, you'll hear people like, what are the cannons going on? Why are they shooting cannons? Like, those are actually fireworks, my friend.
Welcome to Mexico. Yeah. But you know what? They're not gunshots.
They're not gunshots.
So thank God for that.
Absolutely.
It's just their culture. No, but it's true though. And I want to say this too, guys. As we're looking for places to live and stuff like that, we've noticed too, there are many spaces, right, that are fully furnished.
Yeah.
But if you want to come and put your own stamp on your own space, oftentimes that same space can go for $200, $300, $400, $500 cheaper.
Yeah.
If it's unfurnished.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really cool. You have options here.
That's a good point of like the difference between pricing and furnished and unfurnished. And even like they'll charge you extra for furnished, and the furniture won't be anything that you ever want in your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I don't want to pay extra for the furniture I don't want.
Correct. And you can get some things made here that are just hands down beautiful. Just literal art. They're just so pretty. Handmade furniture, right?
Yeah. And that's one of the things I enjoy about sort of living here is that there are a lot of furnished options, and like you don't have to carry your whole life with you if you don't want to.
That's right.
You could travel in, a backpack and a couple of suitcases, maybe a box or two. And when it comes down to moving day, you can throw it in the back of a truck and
pickup
be
truck.
out. Because we moved enough times that like I'm sick of moving and don't want to be lifting furniture. Like literally in the U.S., I'd say we got a little savings account for the movers when it's time to move.
You better say it.
I'm going to pay somebody to do it because my back is not for it anymore.
Chris, somebody come help.
Somebody, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like why we're kind of here, some of the, little nuggets we got around house hunting and why we kind of chose where we chose.
Yeah.
So as always, like, comment, subscribe.
Please and thank you.
Let us know what you want to know. We're here to share what little bits of information we have with you. So maybe next time we'll talk a little bit about making money in Mexico, job hunting, job shifting and changing, all those things that you're going to have to deal with when you get here.
When life be life.
So again, go watch another video.
Please and thank you. And share. Comment.
For sure.
Like.
All those things.
Subscribe.
You say ring the bell, the notification bell, whatever YouTube needs you to do to understand that you want to watch our content more and get other people to watch it. Just do that thing.
Please and thank you.
So yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Again, this was Chris and Jackie.
Adios.
Our series Aprende Más. And cuidate. I said it before you.
You don't say it like I do.
I don't have to.
Cuidate.
Cuidate. There it is.
You're annoying.
Bye.